You're tuning to Relationship Wednesday, where we don't sugarcoat love, we don't romanticize dysfunction, and we don't protect insecurity just because it's common. This is the Bad Influence podcast, the one they warn you about, because it doesn't keep you comfortable. No, it doesn't. It keeps you honest. I'm your host, Jordan Banderas, and today, we're cutting through manipulation, codependency, and the lies we were taught to call romantic. Not with softness, with precision. If you're tired of walking on eggshells, if you're tired of shrinking to keep the peace, if you're tired of calling anxiety chemistry, this episode is for you. Let's start with a word that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Independent. When you hear that word, notice your body. Do you relax or does something tighten? Because your reaction tells the truth before your mouth ever does. Independence doesn't threaten love. It threatens control. And people who confuse control for connection feel that immediately. If the idea of your partner standing on her own makes your chest tighten, that's not love. That's fear. Fear saying, if she doesn't need me, what makes me special? And here's the truth most people avoid. Love that survives only because someone is dependent isn't love. It's leverage. And leverage always comes with resentment. Always. Oh, yes, it does. Here's something that I have noticed. Most of us didn't learn love through safety. We learned it through survival. We watch closeness mixed with control. Attention earned by compliance, affection withdrawn as punishment. So, we confuse attachment with devotion and dependency with loyalty. Oh, yes, we do. If someone needed you, that meant you matter. If someone couldn't leave, that meant you were secure. But that model was never love. No, it wasn't. It was fear dressed up as connection. Independence feels dangerous to people raised in control. Because independence exposes how fragile the bond really is. When someone can walk away, the illusion disappears. And you're forced to ask the real question. Why would they stay? That question terrifies people who never learned self-worth. Because if you don't believe you're chosen, you try to make yourself necessary. And necessity is not devotion. It's pressure. It's obligation. It's fear wearing a ring. That's why independence feels like abandonment to some people. Not because it is, but because it threatens the old system. The system where love had to be earned by shrinking. The system where staying meant safety and leaving meant disaster. But grown love doesn't operate there. Adult love doesn't need cages, it needs choice. And choice exposes everything. It exposes who you are, how you treat people, what you bring to the table, and whether love exists without force. That's why independence feels like danger, because it removes the guarantee. Oh, yes, it does. It removes the guarantee and replaces it with truth. Truth about you. Truth about the relationship. And truth that nobody else wants to face. So let's talk about the nervous system for a second. Because this isn't just psychological. It's biological. When someone fears independence, their body goes into threat mode. Heart rate's up. Chest gets tight, mind starts racing, And there's neuroscience behind this. And the reason why that happens is because autonomy equals uncertainty, and uncertainty feels unsafe to an unregulated system. That's why control feels calming. Predictability feels safe, even when it's unhealthy. That's why people stay in relationships that hurt them. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar freedom. But here's the problem. Safety built on control isn't safety. It's sedation. And sedation kills desire. Independent love activates the nervous system at first because it demands self-regulation. It demands trust. It demands confidence without guarantees. That's why people call independent partners cold. But they're not cold. They're grounded. They don't outsource their regulation. They don't need you to stabilize them. And that exposes anyone still looking for a nervous system crutch. But once your body learns safety without control, everything changes. Desire deepens. Respect grows. Love becomes intentional instead of anxious. The body relaxes because there's nothing to guard, no cage to maintain, no leash to hold. Just two regulated adults choosing each other again and again and again. Let me tell you about what happens when you don't face this. When you choose control over growth, when you confuse being needed with being loved, relationships rot slowly. Passion turns into monitoring. Love turns into management. Attraction turns into obligation. You stop asking, "Do you want me?" and start asking, "Why are you not acting right?" Independent partners don't survive in cages. They either leave or slowly disappear inside the relationship. And then resentment fills the space. Control increases. Anxiety increases. Trust collapses. And then everyone pretends they don't know why. But the truth is simple. Love suffocated itself. Dependency asks for guarantees love can't give. And when love becomes a requirement, it stops being a gift. That's why insecure love always feels like work, because you're constantly managing fear, watching behavior, interpreting tone, reading signs that might not even be there. Independent love doesn't play those games because it doesn't need proof every single hour. It needs alignment. And alignment can't be forced. You either grow into it or you push it away. That's the shadow. Either evolution or loneliness with company. Control gives the illusion of closeness, but only choice creates devotion. Anything else is fear negotiating for survival. And fear always overplays its hand. Always. Until love leaves or dies quietly inside the room. And then you're left wondering why it felt so lonely, even when someone was right there next to you. That's the cost of avoiding this work, and it's higher than most people realize. Oh, yes, it is. You need to understand that independent love isn't distant. It's deliberate. It's two whole people, two regulated nervous systems, two identities that don't disappear in proximity, choosing each other without fear. Not because they're stuck, but because they want to be there. They want to be in that relationship with you. If independence scares you, don't shame yourself. Get curious. Ask what part of you is afraid of being chosen. Ask what part of you learned love to control. Ask what safety actually means to your body. Growth doesn't start with rejection. It starts with honesty. You don't need to be needed. You need to be respected. You don't need guarantees. You need alignment. And alignment only exists where freedom does. So here's the real question. Do you want someone who stays because they can't leave? Or someone who stays because they see you clearly? One builds fear. The other one builds devotion. Love stays where freedom exists. Control creates anxiety. Choice creates trust. And the strongest relationships are not built on dependency. They're built on two independent people who come together at the end of the day and say, I don't need you to survive, but I choose you to live. That's real love. That's adult love. Not red pill bullshit. That's love without cages. And once you see this, you can't unsee it. And that's the point. And remember, the choice is yours. And that's it for today. If this episode peeled back the mask on your relationship, don't ignore it. You deserve more than crumbs. Oh, yes, you do. So draw the damn line. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss the truth bombs that actually change lives. Share this with someone who needs to wake up to real love, not manipulation. Until next time, know your worth, speak your truth, never flinch, and have a great day.